Hey my fellow foodies, it's Chef Kevin. It's still winter time and it's been cold and dreary. So what's the best thing to have on a day that's cold and dreary? Nice hot soup. The perfect comfort food. So today I'm making, well, I'm going to call this a mushroom stew, even though it has tons of other vegetables in it. It's going to have a lot of taste to it and a lot of nutrition as well. Now the key to any soup or stew is the use of a good stock. So I'm going to be making mushroom stock and incorporate that into my stew. Let's take a look at these vegetables and spices I have here. Okay, I got a lot of nice stuff here. A lot of fresh vegetables, a lot of nice seasonings. Now you can use whatever you like to. None of these recipes are written in stone. These are my favorites, so that's what I'm going for. Okay, I have dried morel mushrooms. That's going to be what I'm going to make the stock out of. I'll show you how to do that, of course. Then I have some shiitake mushrooms here, some cremini mushrooms here, and some portobello mushroom caps. So you have actually 4 different types of mushrooms, so you'll have quite a lot of flavor there. I have some matchstick carrots. These are the way I bought them. I have celery, of course. Just about any soup or any stock has carrots and onions in it, and that's done for a reason. That reason being that it tastes good. I have a yellow onion here. I have a head of organic garlic. I have some shallots. I just had these lying around. I want to use them up before they go bad. I have fresh ginger. Very healthy. A bay leaf. Okay, this is going to be a tomato-based stew. I have San Marzano organic peeled tomatoes. Now, if you're not familiar with San Marzano, these are very sweet tomatoes, and they can only come from one place, San Marzano. That's south of Naples. They're known for that particular tomato. I have some Cuban-style black beans with garlic and lime. Well, I like garlic and I like lime, so I'm going for it. Then I have some diced tomatoes here, and this is Mexican style with lime and cilantro. It's all going to taste really, really good. Sea salt, of course, black pepper, 2 most common spices in the world. I have some fresh thyme here. That's going to blend in really well. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is make the stock. Okay, this is the morel mushroom stock. This is a bag of dried mushrooms. This is only half of an ounce of dried mushrooms. Oh, they smell so good already. And I have some very hot water here. 3 cups of hot water. And I'm going to let these soak for about half hour or so. And the taste of the morel mushroom will be infused into the water. That's what a stock is. A stock is flavored water. Whether it's a vegetable stock, a beef stock, or a chicken stock, or whatever type of stock it is, it's basically flavored water. Okay, in the meantime, I'm going to be doing my vegetable prep. Okay, I'm almost ready to cook this. Okay, this is the morel mushroom stock, nice and clear. 2 cups, not 3 as I said previously. I made sure there was no grit in there. It's nice and clean. I have 1.5 quarts of 3 different types of mushrooms. I tried to keep them pretty much all the same size so they would cook evenly. And what I did is I chopped off the very end of the stem because that's kind of gross. And I did wash these. These you could wash very easily because they don't have any gills on them. Some people say don't wash them, just wipe them. I washed it and wiped. Now the portobello, they have gills on the bottom, so you don't want to wash this side. You can just rinse the top and then pat it dry to get off the growing medium that may be stuck on the outside of it. And try to make these all the same size. They look rather chunky, but these are all going to boil down to less than half of what you're looking at right now. Okay, these are the morel mushrooms. And as you can see, they look like little sponges on the outside. And that's where the dirt can get trapped into. But I did rinse those as well. We're going to have a nice clean product here. I have 3 shallots. Julienne. Julienne is just a fancy word for thin strips. Just like McDonald's fries are julienne. They're thin strips, about 1/4 inch. My yellow onion did the same thing, julienne. These will fall apart in the cooking process. These are my carrot sticks. This is the way they came, so nothing I can do about that. That's about 1/2 cup. The celery, I washed it. I cut the ends off because the ends are kind of gross looking. They've been exposed to whatever. And then I just cut it in half and cut them into smaller pieces. I have a good amount. This is about 6 pieces of garlic, fresh organic garlic, nicely minced up. My bay leaf is ready to go. I have some thyme here, fresh thyme. This is about a good 1.5 tablespoons or so. That really adds a lot of flavor. And dealing with thyme can be rather frustrating and time consuming. And the way to prep the thyme is very simple though. You don't want to get the branch in there, you don't want to get the twigs in there. So you simply just pull back from the top and you get your little pieces of your leaves. So I'm going to use all that. This is going to be a nice soup, nice stew. I keep saying soup. Now what's the difference between a soup and a stew? It's the amount of liquid. A soup is more liquid than a stew. A stew is heavy. And the heaviness is usually due to some type of thickener, like cornstarch or flour, but I'm not using any of that. The use of the tomatoes will make this nice and thick. So I have all these nice fresh herbs here. There's no dried this, no dried that. Oh, and the garlic is ready to go. What I'm going to do with that is I'm going to microplane that. If I can find my microplaner, I'll show you how that's done. That's a 1, 2, 3. This is going to add a lot of flavor to the soup as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is start cooking the mushrooms. Let's go over to the stove. Okay, so I have a heavy cast iron pan here. This is nice and big, 12-inch Staub brand cast iron dish. Gonna go ahead and put some mushrooms in there. They're already sizzling away. Gonna have to do this in 2 batches. Now what I want to do is just spread them out evenly. I don't want to pile them up on top of each other. And what I want to do is caramelize these. I want to make these dark. I want to bring out those flavors of the mushrooms that we so like. So I'm not going to flip them around constantly. Just going to leave them there for about 4 to 5 minutes, and then I'll flip it once and get these nicely caramelized. Okay, so let's have a look-see here. Okay, these got a lot of nice color to them. That was about 4 or 5 minutes. I'm going to do this side here. Now, I did not put any salt on these, and that was for a reason. The reason being, if I was to salt them, the salt would get absorbed into the mushroom, which is okay, but then it would release the water that's within the mushroom, and it would be more like a steamed mushroom as opposed to a sauteed mushroom. Okay, I have another batch of mushrooms to do. Okay, these are my San Marzano tomatoes. These are whole peeled tomatoes, which means I have to break them down. So you can use a potato masher if you'd like, but I find that just using your hands is more effective. The only thing you have to watch out for is don't do this too aggressively, or else you're going to get hit with tomato juice in your face. And that's not funny. Unless, of course, you have some co-workers, and I'm sure they would get a blast from that. Okay, I'm going to finish off these. Okay, I have my San Marzano tomatoes nice and pulverized. I'm going to add my Rotel diced tomatoes with lime juice and cilantro. This actually smells very good. Okay, I'm still cooking the mushrooms, and then I'm going to start making the actual stew. Okay, here I have a 4-quart cast iron Staub cocotte. A little olive oil, a couple of tablespoonfuls. Okay, what I'm doing now is I'm going to sweat down the vegetables, sweat down the onions. And by sweating it down, what I'm saying is they become soft and translucent. I'm not going to caramelize the onions. This is not a French onion soup. These mushrooms are smelling really good. It's my 3 shallots. And that's about a half a cup of carrots. Again, I'm just making these translucent. That's about 3 sticks of celery. I'm going to throw my bay leaf in there as well. I'm going to go ahead and put some fresh cracked pepper in. Now, why am I putting pepper in at this stage? That's because I want to roast the peppers. I want to get all those flavors going. That's the best way to do it. Not going to salt this till much later. Okay, this should take about 3-4 minutes perhaps. Okay, these are cooking away nicely. I'm going to add my 5 cloves of organic garlic. Now, I didn't want to add the cloves of garlic, or I should say the diced garlic, early on, because then it may burn, and that would have definitely ruined the stew. There's nothing worse than the taste of burnt garlic. Well, maybe there is, but that's a subject for a different video. Okay, this is almost done. Another minute. Okay, we're cooking away here, folks. 2 cups Morel mushroom stock. If I have to add more fluid, I could add some water. This is 28 ounces of San Marzano tomatoes and a 14-ounce can of the El Paso or the Rotel diced tomatoes. I'm going to put my mushrooms in. I just tasted one of these mushrooms, boy, and it was so delicious. Nice woodsy flavor. Okay, gonna turn the heat up a bit. I'm going to put my Morels back in. My thyme. And my ginger. Made in China for you. But a good chef can improvise. You don't want to go too heavy on the ginger. Ginger is very intense. It's very healthy too. I mean, all these vegetables have a certain degree of nutrition and health to them. The garlic, the ginger, the tomatoes. They have properties, anti-inflammatory. They're good for your joints. But I'd make it just because it tastes good. So we're going to have about six good servings out of this. Little taste. Wow. I add some sea salt. So far I haven't had any salt. I think the Rotel diced tomatoes had some salt in it, but not all that much, I'm sure. Okay, I'm going to let this simmer for 30 minutes. There's no reason to overcook this more than 30 minutes. This is entirely vegetables, usually a soup or a stew that's composed primarily of vegetables or only cooked for 30 minutes or maybe 40 at the most. Okay folks, this is looking really good. Okay, here's my beans. I'm not going to use these. I'm going to 86 them. I decided against the beans because they just look like they have so much starch to it, and I think that would have been overkill for this dish. What I am going to do is put in about a half cup of Italian parsley. Now, a green like a parsley is always added towards the very end of the cooking cycle. This way it doesn't become totally mushed out. I have some tarragon vinegar. I'm going to put just a little in here. That's just to offset the sweetness of the San Marzano tomatoes. That's probably just a tablespoonful. Okay, I'm going to let this cook down for just a few more minutes, then pull it out. Okay, so here we have it, folks. Chef Kevin's mushroom soup. Let's take a look at the consistency first. It's definitely thick, so it's definitely a stew. I like the big chunks of mushrooms. This is, after all, mushroom soup. Wow, that good. The tomato base is spot on. It has bits of onion and shallot in there. Very nice peppery flavor. Now I added a little tarragon vinegar, but if you don't have tarragon, you can use red wine or you can use none. But it just takes the edge off the sweetness of the San Marzano. I just love those mushrooms. This is so healthy. There's no flour, no starch, no cream. Totally vegan, really healthy. Okay, folks. If you like this video, then throw me a bone, please. Hasta mañana.
Therefore, would have to divorce.
Prince Charles did have an affair. He admitted it, and they are now divorced.
Right, okay, people, you have to tell me these things, all right? I've been frozen for 30 years, okay? Throw me a frickin' bone here. I'm the boss.